Welcome to U.S. Immigration TV. Now, many people in the U.S. are out of status, but they need to fly either for business or family functions, like weddings or graduations, etc. And so when they consult with me, I'm often asked the following questions. Is it safe for me to travel or fly within the U.S. if I'm out of status? Will I be caught at the airport by ICE or CBP if I try to fly within the U.S.? What kind of documents can I show to TSA to get on the plane if I'm out of status? What about flying internationally or outside the U.S.? Will I be able to come back? Well, in this video, I will discuss that it is possible for people to fly within the U.S. even if they are out of status, as well as the types of documents they can present to TSA. And this is especially important because starting in May 2023, if a person presents a driver's license to TSA, the license has to comply with the Real ID requirements, which includes demonstrating a person's lawful status. Now, obviously, if a person is out of status, they would not be able to do so. Now, is it safe? Will I be caught? Well, as far as being safe to travel within the U.S., ordinarily, I think it would be little risk of being caught by ICE or CBP or detained by flying domestically. Now, obviously, if a person has a criminal record, they're a terrorist, or they're on some kind of watch list, they will raise red flags regardless of their immigration status. Even citizens can be flagged that way, and they would obviously have problems. However, flying within the U.S. does not require a visa when you go from state to state or over to Hawaii. If a person flies domestically or within the U.S., U.S. Customs and Border Protection, or CBP, is not really there at the airport to check documents or visas. That usually takes place if a person is arriving from a foreign country. And I know there are so many people who are out of status who are routinely traveling by air. And by way of comparison, as far as, let's say, traveling by car or bus, I remember one case I had where a person was out of status and they needed to go from Atlanta, Georgia to Phoenix, Arizona. And so, like many other people, he thought it was too risky, or he was too afraid to fly because immigration might be at the airport. So he decided to take a Greyhound bus. Well, after he drove through Texas, there was an immigration checkpoint 400 miles from the Mexican border. And so the bus was stopped. Immigration officers got on board the bus and started asking people for their documents. So since he didn't have any documents showing he was in lawful status, he was detained and placed in removal proceedings. There are no checkpoints up in the sky. Documents. So what kinds of documents can a person present to the TSA to be able to board a plane? On its own website, the TSA lists a number of acceptable documents, and among the acceptable documents is, and I quote, foreign government-issued passport. Well, this means if you have a valid, unexpired passport from your home country with your picture in it, well, this constitutes an acceptable government-issued document that you can present to the TSA. And this would be the case even after the Real ID Act comes into effect, where you might not be able to get a Real ID driver's license to present. It would be your passport. Another acceptable document is and I quote, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services Employment Authorization Card, or a work permit, which is typically issued to a person when they have some other kind of pending application or waiting for an interview or approval, like adjustment of status. So you can see that it is possible to fly even if you don't have a Real ID driver's license by presenting your current passport issued by your home country or your current country of citizenship. And if it has expired, obviously get it renewed in the U.S. at your nearest consulate. Well, what about international travel outside the U.S.? While ordinarily a person may not encounter issues or problems flying within the U.S. if they're out of status, they could have lots of problems if they attempt to travel outside the U.S., no matter what the reason or emergency. If they've been out of status for even one day, and let's say they have a tourist visa that may not expire for many years, well, that visitor visa is considered void and cannot be used again to return to the U.S. The law, simply put, is 1 day out of status voids your non-immigrant visa. And so they would have to apply for another visitor visa in their home country. And I think it's unlikely they would get a new one if they had overstayed. Now, if a person has been out of status for more than 6 months and they leave the U.S., they could be banned from returning for between 3 and 10 years. And I know that there are people who have applied for adjustment of status, and they can also apply for what is called advance parole, which basically is permission to travel outside the U.S. while their adjustment application is pending, and they will be allowed to return. But even though that is available, I think there could be some risks, because what happens if while they are gone, their case is denied? There may be lockdowns, shutdowns, immigration bans, or whatever. I mean, remember how it was with COVID, where flights were stopped and people were stuck around the world. Also, think about it. What if the petitioner withdraws the petition while they're outside the U.S.? In fact, I had come across a case where a woman married to a U.S. citizen went back to her home country on advance parole, and then while she was there, she got into a fight with her U.S. citizen husband who was here in the U.S., and he promptly withdrew the petition. So, of course, she had problems. Now, if a person is issued advance parole, they are certainly entitled to travel, but I just wanted to point out some possible risks or issues. So, if you're going to get advance parole, you can make informed decisions. Now, I hope you have found this video informative if you're planning to travel within the U.S. And as you can see from TSA's own website, a foreign government-issued passport is acceptable identification in lieu of a driver's license or other types of identification. But you know what? If you are out of status, you may actually want to consult with an attorney who can evaluate your entire immigration situation and perhaps provide you with options to legalize your status. Now, I will continue posting videos on this channel, which I hope you or someone you know will find useful and informative. And I'm posting videos on a wide variety of immigration topics. And if you know someone who's out of status and they are worried about travel, please forward this video to them. And of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel so you're kept updated on immigration news, laws, and developments. I'm Michael Gurfinkel, and thanks for watching U.S. Immigration TV.